By the way, the reason I can stand up here and say all this stuff is because I have literally interviewed thousands of customers for my clients. And every single time I'm hired by a company, they bring me in and they say, here's what we think is important to our customers. It's a list, and it's prioritized, this is the most important thing. Well, it turns out the most important thing to the company is the thing that was hardest to create. The developers are really proud of something, and so that's what they think is important to the customer. Then you go out and you interview your customers and you find out their list is completely different. Maybe there's a few items on there that are the same, but they're not number 1, they're number 10. And some of the things the company thinks are important are what I call industry baseline promises. So boats are supposed to float, airplanes are supposed to fly, food is not supposed to poison you, okay? Those are industry baseline promises. They expect that from everybody, and yet if you go to websites, how many of them are saying, our boats float, our airplanes fly, our food doesn't poison you? I mean, it's just, that's the kind of thing people are talking about in tech. It's crazy.
What the customer's actually interested in and give marketers a leg up on sales to know what the customer wants?
Yes, I've actually interviewed customers enough times to know that there are certain trigger questions that work for them, and they have to be open-ended. It has to be a discussion. So you're having a conversation with people and trying to talk about the things that are of interest to them. The qualitative research is really important before you do any quantitative research, because your quantitative research will be completely off base. You'll be still working in the neighborhood that you're working in if you don't actually interview the people that you need to interview first. It doesn't take that many interviews. You can do a half a dozen interviews. 7 is typically the number. But by the 5th interview, you start seeing trends. By the 7th interview, no question in your mind what the really important things are for customers and what they really want from your company and how they want to buy. That's what you need to find out, is what they really want from you and expect from you, and then how they want to buy it. Your job then is, if with quantitative research, is just to reinforce that and get some numbers behind it for your management, but you'll find that their answers will be the same.
Challenges that B2B marketers face compared to consumer marketers when trying to interview customers, but also the advantages they may have.
B2B marketers actually have an advantage over B2C marketers, because quite often in the B2C sale, you don't actually interact with your customers. In the B2B sale, usually it's an intense scrutiny sale or a heavy scrutiny sale, what I call the various levels of scrutiny in the sale. It's a long, complex sale, and you do have a so-called relationship with the customer. So you know where they are, you can contact them, and frankly, once they've purchased from you, not before, but once they've purchased from you, in the B2B environment especially, they have a vested interest in your success. And so they will tell you a lot of things that will help you as a company do a better job of marketing to people like them. They're actually judging your performance as you go through the exercise of buying, as they go through the exercise of buying. And so they can then tell you how you could have improved that process. And for B2B marketers, it's a lot easier to get those names. Now, salespeople don't want to give them up quite often. You do have to convince them, though, because you can't do this research without convincing them. And the big issue is you're already marketing to them. You're already talking to their customers, so you want to do that effectively. And if you tell them, if you just let me interview about a half a dozen people, I'm going to be much better at talking to your customers. I'll be talking about the same topic of the buyer's funnel, understanding how the buyer buys and how that makes you more politically powerful in your organization in October in San Francisco.